Hey everybody, how you doing today? It's your boy Tex and your boy JC from the show Are You Fucking Serious? So, we got some things we want to talk about today to find out are these people really fucking serious? And to see how we can get some feedback, from some of our viewers today. So, the first thing that we're going to look at and talk about is we heard that Elton John got married. So, what do you think about that, JC?
I'm glad him and his long-term partner are together, but honestly, gay guys getting married in almost the year 2015, not a shocker. Generally,
it's not a shocker, but who wore the dress though? I think that's my first question right there.
Perhaps Mr. Elton.
Okay, all right. You've heard this, stories and stuff about his significant other. Like, you know anything about him?
Not really. I know they've been together a long time, but I've never really heard much about him. He's kind of scandal-free.
Well, I don't know anything about him at all. So, where do you think they honeymooned at? Fire Island?
I want to apologize to our gay viewers.
Maybe something. I'm just saying, just wondering. Maybe something simpler, Maybe a nice trip to Greece.
Yeah, why not?
Who knows? It is crazy.
Maybe Atlanta.
Okay, that's funny. So again, with some of the other traditions that people have with weddings, like some of the parties. Do they both have bachelor parties? Do they both have bachelorette parties? How does that work? Who gets walked down the aisle? The garter and everything. It's just a whole lot of questions that you wonder. And, I guess because it's celebrity, it just makes it funnier to me, too. It's Elton John.
I don't know. I've never seen a celebrity gay wedding before. I've seen gay weddings. I've seen celebrity weddings. But is celebrity supposed to be more over the top than gay? Or is gay celebrity the most over the top thing you could do?
Now, that's a very interesting question because I have to agree with that. Is it more over the top if you're a gay celebrity?
Yeah.
I would think so.
You think so?
I'm not talking about bright, pink dyed doves flying out and stuff like that and, rainbow flags. But I do think that, it would have a definite degree of being more...
just ridiculously gay.
Gay, okay. Well, yeah, I couldn't think of any other word for it, but yeah, I would think that...
So if Liberace could have gotten married, it would have been the most over-the-top thing in history?
I'm expecting, you've seen his jacket, so,
yeah,
it's not hard to imagine,
Put Little Richard to shame. Definitely.
Okay, but so that's another thing, too. You just mentioned two, great, pianists, homosexual as well, like Elton John. You got Liberace, you got Little Richard, and you got, Elton John, off in that category there. I don't remember Little Richard having such a publicized wedding and stuff like that. But looking at it now, do you think this couple is going to last longer than any other couples would normally last? I don't think they're going to be fighting over the things that most, straight couples would argue about. But maybe they would argue about some of the things that gay people, might argue about. And since you're a celebrity, is that, more of an issue?
I think they'd be together a long time. I don't see anything special about them specifically arguing too much or not enough. You never know. They're celebrities, and, Elton John's acts a little eccentric at times. I'm sure he could turn off somebody.
Okay. I can dig it. Do you think that he takes off his toupee when he's at home?
Sure, why not? I don't even think he wears pants.
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure if he takes his pants off, he'll probably take off his toupee. Alrighty. The next thing that we want to look at and talk about here is, most recently, we've heard that Cuba Gooding Jr. has accepted the role of O.J. Simpson in the upcoming series that's going to be on, I believe it is... FX? Okay,
Yes.
Definitely pumped to see that, Now, my thing is, I was talking to JC and wondering, how is this going to be more than just one episode? If anything, you should have just made it a little TV movie, right?
Well, it's weird because it's the producers of Glee and American Horror Story, and basically it's going to be the behind-the-scenes of America's Favorite Trial.
Okay.
Now, we can all speculate what happened, but we weren't there, so maybe it'll be entertaining.
I really don't see how it's going to be any more entertaining. Personally, if it were up to me, I would love to go ahead and be the one to cast this particular show. Right now, my understanding is that, they have Cuba set up for OJ, that they have David Schwimmer set up to play the role of, was it Ron Kardashian?
I'm trying to remember his name. Is it David Kardashian? Robert Kardashian.
Robert Kardashian.
That's
okay.
Kim Kardashian's father, for those of you that are too young.
They don't know the name Kardashian.
A member of OJ's Dream Team back in the day.
Okay, so yeah, so I mean, with that fact, I mean, I believe David Schwimmer could definitely play the role. But then I'm looking at the other people too. I mean, I don't know who they had cast for Nicole, but I mean, if I were to think of someone now that I would try to throw out there, there's like a
Yeah.
lot of young starlets. But I mean, it's a TV series, so like, who would you want to see in that role, or do you think would be able to play this role?
No, that's a good question. I'm not really sure about who would play Nicholson because Nicole was. There's a lot of tall, blonde-haired actresses in show business right now that we could plug into that role.
Nicolette Sheridan comes to mind.
She's
off
a little
top.
old though. She's in her
Of course,
50s.
of course she's old.
So,
but I mean, how
so
old was Nicole? Wasn't she like 50?
I think Nicole was in her 30s when this happened. Maybe late 30s. But Nicolette Sheridan, yeah, beautiful woman, just a little old.
Okay.
There's, like I said, all the tall blonde actresses I know are older, like Sharon Stone, old.
Oh,
You know,
I mean,
don't know
I
much
really
young
can't think of anyone. There's a lot of TV shows that are on now where I'm sure they could probably pull, a young blonde woman or even a brunette and go ahead and, dye her hair for the particular role. Then there's also, again, going on to Kato Kaelin, one of the, major players, in this particular, situation here. I mean, who would you have to cast him,
I think any stand-up comedian, any middle-aged white stand-up comedian that wants to dye his hair blonde.
Okay.
I mean, Kato was kind of a silly guy. I mean, he was on Mad TV, on the premiere episode of Mad TV, doing crazy things. So.
I do remember that.
So, I mean, he seems just like a weirdo.
And that's the thing. I mean, there's like so many people out there, that you could cast, and so it's really hard to decide who you would or should. So I'm not sure how I feel about this yet. I'm going to go ahead and reserve my judgment until I maybe see the first episode and then see if I want to go forward. But I'm very anxious, to see Cuba out here doing his thing, having the opportunity to go ahead and get back in. I know a lot of actors in entertainment look at going from movies to TV to be a downgrade, but I think that this could be a whole new rebranding of Cuba Gooding Jr.
The thing is, in some cases, it's a positive thing. If you take like Charlie Sheen, like all the big movies he did, then he ended up on TV. He made more money on TV than he did in movies.
I mean, and also it's also good because his brother, Omar Gooding, what I'm saying, has been on, his TV career, has been blossoming for a very long time.
I remember Wild and Crazy Kids when we were younger.
Yeah, see?
So he was the host of that 20-something years ago.
Yeah, and again, and even Donnie Jeffcoat, left Wild and Crazy Kids, as we're talking about that, to go into other things. So it shows you that you can have a career in television. Michael J. Fox, I think, helped show that, television is a great springboard.
It's a very good medium. Can't knock it.
Okay.
The next thing we've got to talk about is the hack of Sony Studios. A lot of emails were hacked.
Okay.
The Interview starring Seth Rogen was hacked. North Korea is said to be responsible for it. Now, what do you think about that?
Who gives a fuck? Are you fucking serious? Look, I'm going to just throw this out here now. Nobody gives a fuck about a movie. It's not like they're releasing trade secrets or secrets of state or anything like that. It's just a movie meant to entertain. So the fact that a country is getting so upset about it, maybe something might have been initially said in the beginning about them being upset, but I don't think that it went as far as you're making it now. I believe that this is all just PR for the movie. Seriously,
Okay.
because the way they're making it seem is like we have a possibility where we could end up going to war over a movie. And the thing is, the premise of the movie, I will give it, is not
edgy.
Original. But yes, it is edgy
It's
for
about
today's
murdering
viewers.
Kim Jong-un. I mean, you can't... What can you say about it? It's about murdering a guy.
Yeah, at the same time, but it's also not a matter of, it's not the first movie that has been made about somebody getting killed.
No. You're right.
And so the only reason why it's supposed, I guess, to be so controversial now is only because of, the recent situations with the nuclear weapons and Kim Jong-il not wanting to let, inspectors in and so on and so forth.
It's the threat of nuclear war that scares people.
But you also have to think about it. South Park, the creators of South Park, Trey and Matt, went ahead and did their own Team America movie, where again Kim Jong-il was the bad guy in that movie. And the thing is like, I don't see how we could already make a movie basically, in my personal opinion, creating and continue to create these negative stereotypes and these roles between us and North Korea. And if we did it once and everything was fine with it, I don't see why it's going to be different. Now, here's the thing. It was Kim Jong-il versus Kim Jong-un. So it could be maybe father wasn't, he was okay with it. He thought it was funny. Maybe he enjoyed it. Maybe the son
Possibly.
didn't. And, son wanted him to do something, but he didn't because it wasn't that big issue. Now the shoe's on the other foot, and he has the authority to go ahead and do something, because maybe this is what that is. Maybe he's just, hey, you know what? We're tired of it. We want to go ahead and just make this move. But
I think he's just a little sensitive about his image. I think considering he's a younger guy, I mean, he's in our age group. He's in his 30s.
okay.
I think he's a little sensitive. Now that he's in charge, maybe he took it personally. But the thing is, nobody ever looks at the people that wrote the movie. Like, Seth Rogen is a funny guy, but Seth Rogen's been doing some crazy stuff the last couple years.
I mean, I've seen Neighbors. It doesn't seem that crazy as a whole. Again, interesting concept. I got to give him credit as a writer. He's very, interesting. He's very creative. but at the same time, while he's making these movies, there's, again, an entire studio was hacked because of a movie. I remember when The Matrix came out, like, everybody was doing everything they could to go ahead and try to find any information, at all about the movie. So, I know there's been situations where entertainers and other celebrities have leaked stuff, in order to generate that buzz because you want to have that buzz in there.
Now that you talk about leaks, it was reported that Madonna's 13th album was leaked recently, and she was pissed about it. It was part of that Sony leak.
I mean, now that's the other side of it too. It is interesting, but is it again something that was, is it a calculated move, which I think it was,
Yeah.
Or is it that another country again? Because if I'm North Korea, and I have a problem with the United States, I'm not hacking fucking Sony Studios, okay? I'm going motherfucking CIA, FBI.
Yeah, there's a lot more
Department
valuable
of the Interior
information than movies.
Stacks
and stacks of information sitting around. They have nothing. Movie stars and movies are not the most important thing in the world, people. I mean, I love entertainment as much as the next guy. He does too, but our lives are way more important than what goes on in Sony Studios.
We're
Let
real
me tell
people.
you that.
Exactly. And even if
If
we do become, celebrities,
yes,
we're still real people. And the thing is that, the ways that we're talking now, we would always continue to talk that way. So, moving on, we have one of JC's favorite subjects right now is, of course, the news and the scandal regarding Bill Cosby. Now,
yeah, you can say that.
I love Bill Cosby. I grew up watching Bill Cosby. I mean, every show that he's been with, I've seen. And I don't want to believe that it could be true. But the fact is that it could be. And the end result is like, where are we now? I mean, there's old crimes. I mean, what are the statute of limitations for sexual harassment? Number one. And then number two, with nothing being, proven.
Yep.
Where exactly, are we supposed to go with that?
I think the problem is, like you said, these allegations, one of them is from 1982, one of them from 1968. They go maybe to 2003, but there's things, statute of limitations is 2 years. Okay. Whether he did do it or he didn't do it, I mean, if you don't have DNA evidence, if you don't have a tape, if you don't have proof, you can't take him to court over it.
But again, even if you did have tape or proof,
yeah, again,
if the statute of limitations has already expired, what good is this generating here except to just...
It's to destroy his image.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all I think it is. There's been a lot of things, that they report, and, in the TMZ and in the news and other media. I mean, and to be honest, I don't pick and choose what I read, but I am careful about what I do let influence me. And again, his wife is still standing beside him, just like, other celebrity, scandals, when they, stand by them, kind of makes you wonder, what I'm saying, maybe it's not true. Me personally,
I hope not. I really do.
I believe that if it were true, I believe that there would have been something out, some kind of lawsuit, they would be able to pull up public records and documents now in order to, if anything, show a trend, or something to that effect, and then maybe go ahead and be able to proceed forward on a civil end. But I mean, It's just terrible.
There isn't much. The only thing there was about a National Enquirer article about 10, 11 years ago that said Cosby was involved in something, but it was very vague, and a National Enquirer article can't take you to court. Okay. So, I mean, this woman said that she was sexually harassed. Well, okay. But now there are over 2,000 women saying that Cosby sexually harassed them. Now, that's a lot.
It is.
It is.
I mean, that's more than your average NFL or NBA player.
24 women saying that he did wrong. I mean, I don't think all of them are lying. I think some of them could be, but
I remember. I think at one point in time, I remember reading. I think it said maybe a National Enquirer article. I think there was like a young college age woman. Yeah. I think she was saying like either he was her father or he fathered her child. It was something. I just remember there was a hot looking black chick on the cover, and it was Bill Cosby and father.
There's been a lot of weird National Enquirer stories. Just to bring up one that didn't get a lot of press coverage, I would be glad to say this. Natalie Wood. You remember Natalie Wood?
I love Natalie Wood.
Now, a lot of people don't know Natalie Wood.
West Side Story.
Older actress. Her death was mysterious.
Yeah, she went out on a boat with her husband and Christopher Walken.
Yes.
And essentially, when the boat came back in, she wasn't on it. Body was never found.
Yeah.
And there was basically signs of a scuffle on the boat.
And now?
And she had a fear of water. She didn't know how to swim. So she's out on her husband's boat with his friend. She doesn't know how to swim, is afraid of water, and so I already believe hanky panky.
So the National Enquirer said in their last month's issue that Natalie Wood walked in on her husband and Christopher Walken having gay sex. Now you can believe that, not believe it, but they printed it. So I think Christopher Walken's got to be suing somebody pretty soon.
Should be, unless there's truth to it.
Unless she walked in on some.
I like to have my little, moments, where I, try to think things through when something happens.
Yeah.
Me just getting the facts, about it, because I wasn't,
makes you think
around, of a deductive mind at the time.
Yeah.
But I actually remember reading it, and I believe that, there was probably a fight that took place, and she ended up getting killed by accident, and they ended up dumping the body. Now, what took place? I believe what you just said about the Enquirer could be a very valid one. I believe maybe
could be total BS either.
It could have been maybe a switch thing. Maybe they wanted her to be with Walken, and she didn't want to, and they tried to force her. Maybe they were all, together hanging out, partying, and again, maybe something happened, or
maybe it's one of those mysterious Illuminati things that people talk about.
It could be. It definitely could be.
They're always talking about it.
She was a very popular actress. I mean, she was definitely on her way. Her daughter, still, again, went on to become, again, wonderful, amazing actress too. So I mean, what can it be?
I don't know. I just hope it isn't true.
No, I mean, well, me too.
True story.
I mean, especially after the scene of Walken in on Pulp Fiction when he's with the watch.
Yeah,
love that. Now, see, we got one more topic here. We're actually running a little over today. Grammys and gangsters. That's what he wrote. Yeah, we were basically just to try to wrap this up in the last little time we got here. We're basically trying to figure out, if there's any truth to the rumors that the Grammys, basically have a disparaged, regard or disregard, against gangster rappers. Some people would, venture to say that Eminem could be.
I would say Eminem has won Grammys. Is he a gangster per se?
No.
Some people could interpret him as a nut, but not a gangster.
Nope. And again, even if you were to count, Jay-Z, you know what I'm saying, and again, not gangster,
not the most hardcore motherfucker you're ever gonna hear on.
But then again, we've seen this how I don't know him personally. I can't say that he's not gangster. But what I can say is that there's different levels of gangster that are out there, and I guess that's gonna be the best way that I can at least answer this question. If you look at do the Grammys hate gangster rappers? I can say you have your hardcore gangster.
Okay.
You probably have your, Gangsta Light.
And where's Kanye West?
And then you have like that I guess mid-level I guess in the middle there. And the thing is I believe that on this particular scale from Gangsta Light all the way up to hardcore gangsta, that basically the Grammy is gonna the
middle.
Well, I'm not gonna say it's the middle, but I'm just gonna say that on this particular meter, the Grammy meter is only going to go up so high, because it's going to get to the point where your Grammy is going to be based off a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, two of the biggest things in regards and that it takes to win a Grammy are marketability, and playability. Meaning that number one, the song or the album has to be able to be played repeatedly. I'm talking mass market, commercialized, you got to
beat that horse to death.
And and it has to be able to take that beating. Number one. Yeah. And number two, the artist has to be marketable. You have to be able to be marketed towards men. You have to be able to be marketed towards women. You also have to be marketed towards gays.
That's a triple threat right there, people.
So by if you aren't able to be marketed toward those particular aspects, then you're not going to be successful, and you're not going to win that Grammy, because the thing is, you have one-hit wonders that have won Grammys.
Yeah.
As opposed to these guys that are, and again the other side of it is that's just on the Grammy side. The other side is you have to look at the the artist side of it too. Because it's expected that once you step into the game, once you sign your deal and you're making this money, that you no longer have to be a gangster, and that you essentially evolve and grow into something more. And the thing is, if you aren't growing and evolving, people are going to lose focus, because if you're still doing the same thing, it's going to become irrelevant.
That happened really with Ice Cube. Remember when Ice Cube was, in NWA and this and that, and F the Police? Mm-hmm. And now he's a modern day Bill Cosby. He does clean, family friendly entertainment. People change.
Because that's the thing. He evolved. Ice Cube, he's a prime example of that. He evolved. He was able to go ahead and realize, I can't be a gangster forever. Because if you think about it, how many 60, 70-year-old gangsters do you see?
And rap is a young man's game.
Exactly.
As soon as you hit about 33, you start to realize, I can't talk about dumb shit no more.
Because you got a family to protect. You can't have people shooting at your house when you got, your 5-year-old sleeping in the next room.
It's a completely different dynamic nowadays with art and life
and art imitating life.
There you go. Rappers are trying to be what they think corporate America wants, and then people want reality.
And so it becomes that matter where it's not a hate. It's a matter where if you have not evolved in order to market yourself into a playable asset, then you're not going to win. I mean, especially talking about doing things that, for the most part, parents don't want to hear their kids, hearing about or doing. Their parents don't want to hear that their children are listening to songs about people doing drugs or having sex, with promiscuous women randomly, and basically living in these, morals that are against, what they grew up learning and listening to.
See, that's why there's parental advisory.
Yeah,
think about it. I mean, they've been around 25 years now.
But what they play on the radio is just as bad.
It's edited a little bit.
Even though it's edited, you still know.
You still know what they're talking about.
And kids aren't dumb. So,
yeah.
Again, we do want to thank you again for taking the time to go ahead and rock with us and chill with us. Again, I'm Tex. This is my boy JC from Jersey. We're going to go ahead and, let y'all rock out for a little bit. And thanks, so much for tuning in. Next week, we're going to have some great topics. And again, thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, everybody.